In the early 1900s, Lord Kelvin, a very well-known, well-respected physicist in Britain, said, if you can't measure anything, you don't understand it. And that set the theme for the role of physics and the role of science and for all of the fields almost in the university. And he was wrong. Everybody goes around trying to measure things, including things that can't be measured. So how do we do that? Why do we do that? Well, first of all, Lord Kelvin didn't say that we should measure everything, because people forget when they quote him, they forget that he started the statement with, in the physical sciences, if you cannot measure something, you don't understand it. Physical sciences. It's easy to measure in the physical sciences. Well, relatively easy, because if I pick up, I don't know, a pen, and I drop it, I can compute just how long it's going to take to drop and what speed it's going to be going, etc. And if I do it a second time, it'll be the same answer. If I do it a third time, it'll be the same answer. Now, if I do this to a cat, I'll get different answers. If I do this to a person, I'll get different answers. People are not like the physical sciences. We call this path-dependent or path-independent. In physical sciences, the way in which you got to a place doesn't matter. With human beings, the state that you're in is highly path-dependent. It really depends upon your history, how you got there. It depends upon how and when you were born, the culture that you acquired, the experience you had in growing up, and the knowledge that you have therefore acquired. And so you're very path-dependent. When we measure things in the physical sciences, yeah, we measure something. In the social sciences, no, not at all. But unfortunately, the social scientists, and especially the economists, have really picked this up and insisted on measuring everything. And so we measure everything even though we can't measure them. So what do? We measure something, anything that we can measure, and then we name it by the thing we care about, and we forget that what we have actually measured is not what we care about. And the economists measure everything in terms of money, but those are arbitrary. What's a person's life worth? The economists try to measure it. How would you do that? Why do they do that? And so what's the value of a country? They measure that by measuring how much money the country spends every year. But if a country spends money to manufacture something and spit out lots of pollutions into the waters, well, they spent money, that's good. But the pollutions are negative, they're harmful. That isn't even taken into account. And worse, if now the nation has to spend money in order to clean up the pollution, oh, that's good too, that's spending money. So that the harm is actually counted twice. Once because we spent money doing it, and once because we spent money cleaning it up. So why do we use these meaningless measures? So one thing that's very important is that we must change the meaning of what we measure. We must move from things that talk about quality of life. Are we actually leading a good life? Do we have good educational system, good health care? Do we have families that actually are surviving in a way that's comfortable for them? Now, we actually can do some measurements, but not the same kind of measurements that the physical scientists do. We don't use rulers, but rather we can say this is better than that.